56% R&D, with tech executives, not surprisingly, being overrepresented as far as thinking that initiatives in R&D would be very important. And then you can see corporate tax reform, infrastructure, trade agreements, and immigration reform. I was actually struck by these results because if you work in Washington like I do and you go to a lot of conferences and panels and you hear what executives, particularly in the tech industry, are talking about these days about critical problems, corporate tax reform comes up a lot. R&D comes up a lot too. Trade agreements come up a fair bit as well. The results indicate that executives clearly think those are important and are aware of the critical need to take steps in those areas, but education cited number one. And so that struck me a great deal in going through these results. So tech executives and executives of all stripes worry about the educational system, and it's not then surprising that they choose education as one of the critical policy interventions we need to take to address competitiveness problems. So we then started to drill down into what executives think are the needs in developing a more capable workforce, particularly as it related to the sort of educational steps that need to be taken. So here's sort of a data-rich slide that we'll spend a minute or two on. So we asked executives about the steps, or rather what are the important objectives for a high school education. And you can see in the white paper detailed answers to this question, but 9 out of 10 said that teaching students to think and solve problems is very important, a very important objective for a high school education. When we asked them what's the most important, a strong plurality cited the need to have students be able to think and solve problems, nearly twice of what came in next on basic skills. When we asked the question, what do you think schools need to do to make students be more prepared for college? Again, this theme of focus on analytical thinking and problem solving rose to the top, with nearly 3/4 saying that that was very important. When you, as far as tech execs versus non-tech execs, there weren't big differences in many of these categories, but I highlight one here that the tech execs are more likely to see focusing on sciences as a very important part of the college prep process. Finally, we asked a question about today's workforce. Again, these are executives who have a view into recent college graduates,